Hello, hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
I've got Marty here with us today. He's going to be going over speeding up your quotes with estimate templates.
Now I think that the original sign up on this one was on invoices and payments. And so if you came for that one, I'm gonna show you really quickly at the beginning, turning an estimate into an invoice and how quickly that is. So I'm gonna take you through speeding up your estimates creation with using templates, difference between templates and layouts. So I'll just cover that really quickly too. I am part of the Genius team. So just a quick introduction. A lot of you may have seen and know us, getting to know us a lot more already, but we are a team of 5 individuals in JobNimbus that where you may have an account manager if for certain accounts that are larger accounts, that you may get a dedicated account manager. If you do not have a dedicated account manager, we love to support, like today with workshops, and we do workshops and webinars. And those workshops kind of double right now as office hours too, where we can hang back for a few minutes and ask a few questions. And then we do one-on-one training. A lot of our focus is on the new estimating experience, so the new estimates in JobNimbus, and just generally help serve as consultants for JobNimbus. I was thinking about so plug and play, and just the speed and the power of the estimate. I had prepared this we were at the JobNimbus Solution Summit last week, but I was thinking the different ways you can do your estimates, and you can do them on your own, and you can make your own Word document or Excel document, kind of do it yourself idea. But I was thinking about how JobNimbus, our mandate is to make you heroes, to make contractors heroes, and part of making you a hero is is how do you show in front of the public? And so I wanted to just to give this example, good old Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire. His first outfit that he showed up on the scene with, and this was in the wrestling match, I believe, was a do-it-yourself costume. So he was showing up with a professional image in pajamas. And so he still have to sell the same abilities. So just like anybody, your company, you guys got incredible abilities as a company to show up for your customers and to swoop in and save the day, helping with replacements and repairs. And then so you can show up in a good old a good old suit of any sort you want, and you'll still have the same abilities. But if you show up in your super suit, that's going to make it more of an impression. And so a lot of times when you show up with an estimate, with a new estimate experience, it is you're showing a professional face right away that gives the customer a kind of a stop in the tracks and go, whoa, what is this? And I should pay attention to this. Um, this guy may not grab your attention if he swooped down on the scene as much as this guy here. So just what I was thinking of this in the dirty Harry kind of thing. One thing you need to ask yourself, but is, do you want to show up to your customers in pajamas or a super suit? What we're going to do is I'm going to take you straight into your estimate settings. Right here in your estimate settings, you have your estimate layouts. And so estimate layouts again is, think of it as almost like the full present, well, it is the full presentation of your estimate. So it's all the pages, your cover page, introduction, inspection page, your quote details, so the meat and potatoes um, of your estimate that gives you the quoting, the numbers, your authorization signing page, your terms and conditions. Kind of that's your package. That's a layout. So you'll see I've got a few through my list here. I've got a fence layout, a seamless metal roof layout. You can have many different types of layouts for different jobs you quote on. But templates, think of those as individual pages you can slide in and out. So I sometimes think of I've got a bookshelf right here on the wall, and I've got books on it, and binders as well. And some binders, think of those as your layouts. The binders, your full estimate layouts, and templates are like individual pages that you've created, and you can slide in and out of your binders of your estimates. So your most important is when you go into your estimate templates, you'll see that you can see the type of them. I have all estimate details, but there is many choices of templates that you can create. Um, there is an introduction template. So let's say you do residential roofing and you want an introduction page that is geared towards residential and a bit more personable. Even though commercial should be a little personable too. But if I go into an introduction template and let's just call this repairs, and maybe you do estimates for repairs. So you want to create a repairs template. It starts off with some default information or text in here, which is nice. Your tokens, again, those are placeholders of code that when you start your estimate, it will replace all that stuff in between the squiggly braces. It will replace it with the customer's first name. If you wanted their full name, you could just go back on that and look for customer full name. Usually you just go with the first name, but you can go full name, and you can see at the bottom that if you have multiple salespeople, whoever's logged into with their account, it'll replace with their information. That is an instruction template. We could say, just want to make it simple, not looking at a full replacement. We're just going to make it, this is kind of a little bit of a scope of work. So commercial, you can make one for commercial and gear towards business owners or HOAs, that kind of idea, or just change up and do specific things for, say, fencing, that thing. So once I save this, and it's saved, and so we'll go back here. So you'll see that there's a repairs one, and I can move the order of it and see that now it says introduction. You can also create ones for your just custom pages. And let's just say this is payment schedule. And then you can go location and create. You always have to put in location, but so let's just say this is, well, we said it was a payment schedule, so we'll just do first payment, really simple. Second payment and third payment. And you can leave them blank and your salesperson can fill it. A super basic page. You'd want to do more than this, of course, but I'll save changes on that and back out of that too. So now I've got a payment schedule. And then there's also, you can do an authorization one too. Let's go authorization. We're going to get right to the estimate details one, but let's just say repairs off page. And we've got all that set. Create that one. And this one is actually nice because you would say you can have it pre-made. Estimates are good for 30 days. And you've told them your repairs, but you can also say, we've got some upgrades or other options. We could say additional options. So additional options, and so you could, maybe it was repairing the fence, but you'd say, we can stain the fence too. Not just repair it, but we can stain it. Just making this up on the spot, but you could say, you lump sum the quantity of that and say the price of that is getting $500. So you can have, a repairs estimate ready or authorization page. So this is also your signing page when it comes into play. And then you can see that I have an estimate details one. So that's where you can go and you can create an estimate details, go location. Let's go, we can say, we'll just keep building up on the fence idea here. And even though I have one already, it's gonna start with a good, better, best. Just delete the better and the best so far because it won't import those anyways with the templates as it is right now. And so let's just say, let's call this backyard fence. I had little kids for a while, they're growing up, but I made me think of backyardigans when I was starting to type that. Now, let's go with, I do have a 6-foot in my privacy. Do I have a privacy in here? Yeah, let's go with, I was doing some tests on that, so we'll call it run 1. And let's do fence. Just say there's just 2 runs we're going to work on that we offer up. Let's do 3. Fence run 3. And so we can have these in, we can save our changes, and you can change the name of this. You could say, just fence, let's say vinyl fence. There we go. So let's get that in there now. So we've built out a few different, let's move that up just to bring it up to the top focus. And I mix and matched my ideas here on the repairs and the fence, but you'll get the idea. So with these now in place, we can go to our estimate layouts. We could create a brand new layout. Well, let's just combine the two and say it's fence repair. And it's going to choose that location default wise and create the layout. And what we can do now with templates is our introduction page Our estimate details page and our sign-in upgrades, which is the authorization page, those are ones we made templates for. So I can actually build this out now with those ones in mind. Now you can do it, and if you're making a layout specific to fence repairs like this, you could create them in here too as well, and then just save the whole layout, and it'll work that way. And a lot of times that's even what I suggest, but even right here, I can take my introduction and I can use a template for it. So I can look at, and because repairs was the only introduction template I made, it's just going to show up my introduction templates for that page, and I hit repairs. It swapped out the information on it. You'll see that I've got a little publish up here, which just simply means save. We'll just save the changes. Because this is a fence repairs, it's going to come automatically with a roof component, so we just delete that out. And then what we wanted is we had an estimate details page. So we're just going to give it one option to one opportunity, but you could leave them all in. In fact, let's just do that for a second. We can leave those in because I can take my good and I can use a template. And we created that one called fence. And I believe that is the one we just did. Fence 1, 2, 3. And you can see that comes in vinyl fence now in the first tab. You can see that it didn't touch these other tabs. Those you can bring in, you could bring in separate ones. You could, let's just say, let's bring the fence run one here and see what happens. Oh, it was a good, better, best. So this is a good thing to note right now, is that they've updated this in the system that if you have a template that has all three tabs, it will replace all three tabs. So if I go to my templates and it was fence run, you will see that it has a good, better, best. So you're going to want to just make sure you delete the better and the best out of your templates, unless you want them to replace the good, better, best completely. Even if it's a good and a better, it will replace it will replace all the three tabs or your one that you're using. So let's go back and into our estimate layouts, and we were in fence repair. So estimate details. Now remember we were trying to just use the fence, and I went into the better and I tried to use the fence run. Now what we should be able to do is, now because it was only one tab, it will just replace the one tab. And so that's what it did in this case here. So then you just delete those two out. And then you have that section. So then your signing upgrades, let's just slide that, jump positions. It does that sometimes. It has um, I don't know if it's leapfrog or what it wants to do there. But now you can see also sign upgrades, you can pre-make them too in a layout, or you could have pre-made ones made out too. So I can use that. I only have one because I only created one. So then I can just simply bring that, save it in there. Now we've got stay in the fence, kind of building it out. I think of it almost like Lego. Templates can be kind of a bit Lego piecey. You can piece pieces together. And remember we created a custom page. And so what we did with a custom page is we had a text page, a custom text page that we created. So let's go to text page and let's use template. And again, we only created one so far in our system. So that was the payment schedule. And I can build that in. So that is the main way you can use your templates to build an estimate. So even if you had the most blank layout, so let's just call it blank layout. So we've got a really blank one. I'm going to get rid of the roof components one. Just we're gonna really slim this down. Estimate details is going to be just very simple. So everything is just saved and very simple in this. Let's even take the introduction and say we didn't have anything in there for the introduction page. And cover page, we'll leave the cover page as is, publish the changes. And now if I go into a job, so here's my jobs, let's go into an older one here and I go into my financials. I was hoping to get one with not so many embarrassing amount of tests in here, but so if I go to create estimate, and if I go down to blank layout, even when you're creating an estimate for your customer, you can use your templates too. So you could have a completely blank one and you could just build out all your templates to be able to use in it. And you just go straight in, go into your introduction page, just like I did before. Estimate details, we can just bring in just the one on this one and just use template. You don't have to, you can start with them all three gone. And so you only have one, so you don't have to delete it like I'm just doing too. But let's do the fence. apply that. We've got that in, and we can do our fence runs. We got, 5 runs, 3 runs, and 1 run. So we're building our price out now at the bottom. Your signing upgrades page, we can use the template and bring in the authorization, the repairs one that we had. So now we've got that information filling in, and we do have 1 repair in there. Now with payments, you can take it. So I'm kind of crossing over a little bit into the payments and with you, but you can also add deposit now when you're in an actual estimate. You can have a deposit. So down payment, we'll say, and we could make it a 10% on the job if we want to do it that way. So your terms and conditions, but then we also, if you remember, we had the text page. So we can also do the same thing in here. So then we could, 10%. This isn't the way you do it, um, but then you could say, let's do 40% and then 50%. I think my math's on here. So there we go. So we have a custom page, it doesn't come in with the name of it. So when you bring it in a page inside the estimate, you just want to make sure that you change out the name. So payment schedule, then you have your estimate, review and share. And because we didn't fill anything in very much, but we have our introduction page filling in the information from our tags that were there, the tokens. Inspection page, we didn't put anything in, but then we have our vinyl fence, 3 runs that I was showing. If you don't want to show each line total, I'll turn that off in just a second. Same with signing upgrades if you want to have that turned off when you bring them in. Terms and conditions, and then payment schedule. And again, you can always add pages in, custom pages in, and move them around too. So then the estimate details, you can go into your page settings, and you can turn off all those things. Then you can view just the page too, just to take a look at how that looks. So cleaned up that way. Sign upgrades page, it's the same thing. It's got the page settings. Turn those off. So just note that when you are adding pages in. Now it's very possible that if I would have saved these in when I was in the layout itself and turned those off, I believe that it will hold those settings too. If in the actual layout level of the settings, if I turn these off and save the layout before using it as a blank one, it should retain these being turned off too. So now the interesting things you can do is you can see that I can also, now you can do this, I'm in just the estimate level with a customer, the customer's estimate. And you can do this in your layouts beforehand if you wanted to as well. But just as you saw that I can use a template for the whole quote on this side, I can also use and add them in just sections. So if I go to the section here and I go, well, I've got the runs, this is gonna be my material, this isn't my labor. You can see that if I click this little down arrow, if I click just the add section, it's just gonna add a blank section, you fill it out. But if you add it from the down arrow, you can say, oh, I can add this from a template. And so this is where it really gets interesting. And the power of it is that I can go in and say, like, I've created labor. And this is probably going to be roofing specific, but if I go and click on that little plus arrow, you're going to see that, hey, it brought in my labor items. Now, it doesn't make sense to do roofing labor on fencing, but just as an example that this was pre-created, so I can build a labor section out and then just bring it in and piecewise. But let's say this house also wanted the gutters too. You're doing your more general contracting on the exteriors. So what we can do is this is going to save as it goes when you're in a customer estimate. But if I go back to my layouts, so let's go back to my settings and estimate settings. Now I'm going to do a little trick here because I don't have gutters. In my estimate library here, pre-created layouts, I can explore that. And let's see, do I have a gutters as a tag up here? So I have a gutters estimate. And this is going to come in. I'll show you that if I preview it real quick, it's actually going to just bring one product in because it's going to be more informational boxes that you can build from. But you'll see that it's got kind of a nice scope of work, but these are just going to be informational boxes to start unless you want to start adding them into your estimate. But it's always nice to have a really nice front-facing area of descriptiveness to your customer. So let's just add this to my library. So let's go gutters, add that in. And let's go to back it out. You'll see I have gutters right there. They jumped, usually at the bottom. So if I go right here to my pencil on it, this is what I like about templates as well, is that I can take when I'm even in a layout and I built some, say I built something already out, or in this case it's my gutters. I can actually take this and I can use this, or I can actually, no, I was thinking is I can save this as a template. Let's take in this case, actually let's leave it as is. I can save this as a template now, and I can say it's going to automatically be a quote details or an estimate details page, but I can just say gutters. I'm going to say materials, and I'll show you why in a second, but let's take that and save that. Now, if I go back into my templates, and if I go down to the bottom, I've got gutter materials. Let me duplicate it. I'm going to say labor. And the reason why is it's going to take me into the gutter labor one, and I'm going to delete this top section because I had two sections, and you could keep them both together. That's no problem. But I just want, for this purpose of this one, I want to show that. So I'm going to take that and delete it, save it, go back out of here and go into my gutters materials, and I'm just going to delete the bottom one. So you can see that I have, the information I wanted from that from that layout from the library, and I can use that now as a template. And so now if I go to that job that we are in, and it was the 501, and it would be this one, back to edit. So we're going to edit this one out, and we should get into estimate details. So there's our fence run 123. We want to get rid of that labor section because that didn't pertain to fencing, but we are going to add in, so let's say the customer also wants to be quoted on gutters. You could add that in here. You could go option 2, use template, and choose my gutters material. And then you could also add a section in and pull in that the labor item too. But what's nice too is if you just wanted to have it all in one estimate, you could simply just add that section in for the estimate and go to gutter materials. And if you want just to lump sum the whole project, you could just use the top line if you want. If you didn't have it all decked out with your materials products one by one, let's just say this is going to be $950, and that way we have our fence. And if I view the page, we can see that you got your fence area and you've got your gutter area. Something to note in your sections, just a little tip. You can see that this line, they butt together pretty close here, and this one's the gray one and the alternate is the white. When that case happens, it's kind of nice. You could, for formatting, say add a blank item, give it a space, and then you need a little space in there, just one space bar, because then when you view the page, you get this nice little break in the display. That's just outside of the normal functionality of it, but I've done it that way. Sometimes even done every white space I've had the information on, or no, the gray space I've done information on, and then had a white space as just a blank space with a space bar in it, just to really break up if it's a smaller page and you want to get just a bit nicer formatting when it's a smaller job that you're listing out. So those are kind of the main ways that you can use your templates to kind of speed up and mix and match your say your estimate details pages, where you can have multiple jobs or bring in multiple jobs into different good, better, best tabs. So in that case, you could go into your templates in your estimate details. So you could actually build out, if you did, good, better, best, if it was GAF and you had your regular HTZ, but then you had a silver pledge and a golden pledge, you could build out those. If you didn't offer those all the time, you could still build those out. And then when you have a customer that's appropriate for you, you could have those pre-built and just bring them into an estimate. You can do, I mean, if there's a fortified roof system, so you could have your 3 offerings. But if you want to offer a fortified, you could replace one of the estimate details tabs of the best, and you could replace it with a fortified too as well. So you can have options kind of on standby, waiting to go and to be used, instead of because the one method is you can create every single one, which I don't discourage from, because I think it's a good way to keep your job separate and make it easier for your salespeople or whoever's in the office making the estimates. Like having an insurance contingency agreement or insurance contracts. But if you have multiple offerings in your shingles, it's helpful. If you have multiple fence options, you would do wood, vinyl, and then chain link. But this customer has a wood fence, and they want to go with wood fence, so you could just use your wood, leave the vinyl and the chain link out, and they could be as templates. So templates can be very powerful, and that's really what I want to cover today with speeding up your workflow with JobNimbus and using estimates and using templates specifically with your layouts.
Excellent. If there are any last minute questions, feel free to reach out to either myself, Marty, anybody on the Genius team, the support team. We are here to help you succeed. So just reach out. We'd be happy to connect. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Bye, guys. Take care. Thanks so much for joining.